Hello everyone, I'm Geek Freak and welcome to the video. Today I'm going to be reacting to the 5 worst pandemics in history. So if you guys haven't seen this video, please go and watch that video first. If you watch that, come back, watch me, watch this. And let's continue. Very appropriate considering considering there's this virus going on, but I'm not gonna go into that because YouTube will bitch about it and complain about it. So I'm not going to go into that because obvious reasons. But 5 worst pandemics. Okay, Black Plague. I'm gonna say the Black Plague. Might be on this list. What else is there? I'm not really sure. I mean, all I know is that it's just the Black Plague. Let me think. I mean, this is the top of my head. But when you come to pandemics or viruses, I mean, you think the Black Plague. That's what comes to my mind, anyways. So this is going to be an exciting one. So this thing's about almost 12 minutes long. So yeah, well, that's said and done. Let's get to watching. All right, now this is the 5 worst pandemics in history. And 3, 2, 1, and go.
In 2019, the world got a sobering reminder of how pandemics can spread with the emergence of COVID-19 and the devastation that they can cause. But
his teeth. Look at his teeth. It's shiny white.
We have survived many pandemics in our history, most of which were far deadlier than the one that we are currently dealing with. But they all changed the world forever and caused devastation during their time, most of which we were completely unprepared for. Here are the 5 worst pandemics.
The way he's saying it, it's very ominous.
HIV/AIDS pandemic.
Ugh.
HIV/AIDS pandemic, or epidemic as some call it, is unique because it's a pandemic that we're still living with to this day. The human immunodeficiency virus, which can be categorized into 2 strains, HIV-1 and HIV-2, are believed to have originated in non-human primates in West Central Africa and are believed to have transferred to humans through a process known as zoonosis in the early 20th century. Both are species of lentivirus, a subgroup of retrovirus that infect humans. Over time, they cause acquired immunodeficiency syndrome, or AIDS. HIV-1 appears to have originated in southern Cameroon, while HIV-2 appears to have originated in West Africa, perhaps southern Senegal. Since the first case of infections, the virus has made its way around the world, and AIDS officially became a pandemic by the late 20th century. Today, about 64% of the estimated 40 million people living with HIV live in sub-Saharan Africa. An approximate 1.2 million people in the United States live with HIV, with approximately 16,000 deaths a year. Worldwide, approximately 38 million people live with HIV, with an estimated total of 42 million deaths since the start of that pandemic. To this day, there's no known cure for HIV/AIDS. However, great leaps forward have taken place. An awareness has grown, new treatments have been developed that make HIV far more manageable, and many of those infected go on to lead productive lives. Annual global deaths from HIV
Productive.
to 1.6 million, and as science and technology progresses, many believe a cure will present itself in our lifetime.
We all know there's a cure for all these diseases. We all know.
The plague of Justinian began in the year 541 and lasted until 542. It was caused
It's just that the government won't give these cures.
the Yersinia pestis, better known as the Bubonic Plague. It
Oh, okay.
primarily the Byzantine
Bubonic.
Empire in the Mediterranean port cities, killing from 30 to 50 million people in a single year. It carried
Wow.
from the Mediterranean Sea from Egypt, a recently conquered land, paying tribute to Emperor Justinian in grain. However, plague-ridden fleas hitched a ride on the black rats that snacked on that grain. It went on to spread like wildfire across Europe, Asia, North Africa, and Arabia, killing by some estimates up to half of the world's population. This pandemic is
I just saw something.
the first recorded incident of the Bubonic Plague, leaving a devastating trail of destruction behind it, killing up to a quarter of the population of the eastern Mediterranean.
I just saw something.
It was killing an estimated 110,000 people every day.
Every day, jeez. Actually, I'll tell you in a bit.
People had no
I'll tell you at the end of the video.
understanding of how to fight it other than trying to avoid sick people. As far as how the pandemic ended, our best guess is that it was a mixture of some developing an immunity and the majority of people isolated. Number 3 is the Spanish flu pandemic. The Spanish flu pandemic began in 1918 and lasted until 1920. It infected over 500 million people, about 1/3 of the world population at that time, in 4 successive waves, and included everyone from the South Seas to the North Pole.
Leave it to the Spanish, am I right?
1/5 of those infected died, a mortality rate of 20%, with up to 25 million
I'm joking.
deaths in the first 25 weeks alone. Interestingly, despite its name, this disease did not start in Spain. It was given its name because Spain
Okay,
was a neutral
I do
nation
apologize.
during the war,
I am
and
sorry.
enforced strict
I didn't know.
censorship of its press, which could therefore freely publish early accounts of the illness. As a result, people falsely believed the illness was specific to Spain, and the name Spanish flu stuck. It's believed that this pandemic actually began somewhere in Kansas in the United States, with the first observation
We're far away from home, Toto.
of 1918, and
That wasn't bad, I
later
do apologize.
April in France, Germany, and the UK. This
Huh.
was an unusually
Neat.
deadly influenza pandemic caused by the H1N1 influenza A virus. What separates this pandemic from other influenza outbreaks was that traditionally influenza had always only killed the most vulnerable categories, such as the very young, the elderly, and the immunocompromised. However, this
I don't
was
want.
an enigma, as it seemed to kill completely healthy young adults while leaving children and those with weaker immune systems still alive. Interestingly, this would not be the last
To be
time
fair, that's
this strain of the flu, as
that's
the
where that
same
is.
strain would again resurge in 2009 as the swine flu pandemic. When it was all
Swine.
over, Spanish flu killed an estimated 675,000
Okay, I won't.
Americans, and worldwide estimates regarding the total death toll vary wildly, with some being anywhere from 17 to 100 million. But the most widely accepted estimate
Jesus
is somewhere
criminy.
between 30 to 50 million. So how did it end? Well, there were no antiviral drugs to treat the virus and no antibiotics to treat the secondary bacterial infections. No vaccine was developed.
Millions
to fight the
millions of
pandemic.
people, man.
However, instead, it ended by observing social distancing, the closing of schools and other such gathering places, quarantine,
Fair enough.
and the widespread use of masks. It's worth noting that San Francisco ended up suffering some of the highest death rates from the Spanish flu nationwide due to public resistance against public gathering orders. As a result, a 2007 analysis found that if San Francisco had simply kept all of its anti-flu protections in place through the spring of 1919, it could have reduced deaths by 90%. Number 2 is smallpox. Smallpox was one of the most devastating and oldest
You
pandemics
would have thought that they would call it like your big pox.
It could be considered the worst pandemic in history. However, it
Worst,
was
really?
number 2 on this list, as the number of deaths occurred over a much longer time span. Because, as you'll see, number 1 killed many more people in a much shorter time span. It's believed that smallpox extends all the way back to prehistory, originating around 10,000 BC. But the earliest credible evidence of it was found in Egyptian mummies from 3,000 years ago. During the 18th century, the disease killed an estimated 400,000 Europeans each year, including 5 reigning.
We can't get a break, can we?
And was responsible for
The plague,
1/3 of
smallpox.
blindness. It's estimated that in the 20th century alone,
We just can't get a break, can we?
300 to 500 million people. Between 20 to 60% of all those infected and over 80% of children died from the disease, or approximately 1 in 3 people on average.
Rest in peace to all those who died.
In multiple ways, but most frequently through the air in moisture droplets by sneezing, coughing, and talking, but could also be spread through direct contact with infected bodily fluids or contaminated
It makes you think, doesn't it?
such as contracted the disease, and 2 million people died that year. The disease advances in stages. The first symptoms of smallpox include a high fever, fatigue, a headache, and a backache. After 2 to 3 days, a flat red rash appears on the face and upper arms, and then it spreads all over the body. And over the next 2 to 3 weeks, the flat red spots become firm and dome-shaped and becomes too gruesome to describe any further from there. What makes this disease extra insidious is the incubation period for smallpox is generally 12 to 14 days, which means a person may not even show signs of infection for around 2 weeks. The first smallpox immunization was developed in 1796 and took more than 200 years and a worldwide vaccination program in order to eradicate the disease. The last known naturally occurring case of the disease occurred in 1977 in Somalia and was officially declared eradicated in 1980. In fact, it became the world's first fully eradicated disease and was done so solely through vaccination. Interestingly, to this day, there are still no treatments for the disease that are proven, tried, and tested. Prevention became the key, and it was done so based on a worldwide vaccination strategy. And number 1 is the Black Death.
See?
By far, the most fatal pandemic in history was the Black Death, also known as the plague. Occurring between 1346 and 1353, it killed a harrowing 75 to 200 million people.
Hey, look, it's that SAP Plague Doctor.
4 years.
Yeah, I know the SCPs.
Believe that it spread between continents via fleas living on rats that so frequently lived aboard merchant ships known as death ships. Ports were major urban centers at the time, and so were perfect breeding grounds for this contagion. The pandemic was especially devastating during that time because people didn't have the scientific understanding of viruses and the like. All that they knew is that it had something to do with proximity. In fact, some forward-thinking officials decided to keep newly arrived sailors in isolation until they could prove that they were not sick, making this the invention of quarantine. Interestingly, as time went on, nations increased the forced isolation period to 40 days or a quarantino, which is where we get the origin of the word quarantine and the start of the practice in the Western world. The plague wiped out half of Europe's population and changed the course of Europe's history forever. The main symptoms of the plague are actually too gruesome to mention in this video, but also include fever, chills, vomiting, diarrhea, terrible aches and pains, and then, of course, death. To this day, we don't fully understand how the plague worked, but it was believed to have been transmitted through the air as well as through the bites of infected fleas and rats. It was caused by an outbreak of a single bacterium, again, the Yersinia pestis, similar to the plague of Justinian. Other than quarantine, to stop the pandemic, physicians relied on crude and unsophisticated techniques, such as bloodletting and boil lancing, practices that were dangerous as well as unsanitary in and of themselves, and superstitious practices such as burning aromatic herbs and bathing in rose water and vinegar, but was curtailed by methods that we still use today, such as social distancing and isolation. Thank you so much for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it and learned something, be sure to drop a like on it, share it with your friends, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.
I've got a few things to say. Kind of makes you think, doesn't it? If you think about it. Okay. What I'm trying to say is, okay. All right, now imagine if none of these pandemics or viruses ever happened. I mean all these millions upon millions of people who have got all these viruses and people who have died. I mean, imagine if none of these things happened. I mean, we'd probably be an overcrowded planet if you think about it today. So excuse me, do apologize. Imagine about during the time of the Black Death. Yeah, he says half of Europe was I'll say it again. Half of Europe was wiped out. But here's the thing. Imagine if the plague didn't happen. Imagine if a plague never ever happened. I mean, from from then to today, I mean, we'd probably be like, overpopulated, and not just like the plague, the Black Plague, no, the Black Death. You know what I'm trying to say. But all these other viruses that that people died from. I mean, have you guys noticed that that most you don't see that many viruses like in other countries. I mean, it's usually like in the Western hemisphere if you think about it. But I don't know. I mean, I know for a fact if I was to go any further than this, I'll probably get into trouble. But some people actually say that that it's the government. Actually, no, I'm not going to say anymore because I know if I'm going to get in trouble. So, it's mental, absolutely mental. Tippy toeing up around a topic like this is, I can still feel the burn. So, I mean, rest in peace to all those who have died, and of the people who've got all these diseases get better. So, but you know what? I believe they do have like all these cures to all these diseases. It's just that the Europeans won't give it to us. That's what I believe, anyways. I mean, you can call me conspiracy if you want to, but that's what I believe, anyways. So, yeah, if there's anything you guys want me to react to, just leave in the comment section below, and I will get to the video as soon as I can. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace out.
Thank you guys for watching.
And if there's a series you want me to check out and review and give my thoughts on it, or if there's a top 10 list you want me to do, or any reactions, or responses, or rants on anything geeky, just leave links and comments in the comment sections below, and I'll get to them as soon as I can.
Don't forget to like, subscribe, put the bell on, share this video, and leave a comment in the comment sections below. And as for my social medias, I'm literally freaking everywhere! I'm on most video platforms, social medias, forums, and support sites. It's best to pause the video and see where I am. Literally all of this is down in the description box below. So if you want to go and check those out, please do. I'm Geek Freak. Peace out.